Thank you, Dr. Adams. Good morning. We're going to deviate from the agenda just for a moment before we head to lunch. We do have a special guest with us today. Well, he's special for most folks. A lot of us around Tift County and Tift area know him. Congressman Austin Scott is in his second term in the United States House of Representatives, representing Georgia's 8th Congressional District. Prior to his election to Congress in 2010, he was a small business owner and spent 14 years in the Georgia General Assembly and the State House, beginning with his first election at a ripe age of 26 years old. Austin graduated from the University of Georgia, from Terry College of Business with a degree in risk management and insurance, and thereafter owned and operated a insurance brokerage firm here in the Tift area for nearly 20 years, I understand. He is known as a conservative of both economic and social issues, and is a fierce defender of limited government, a strong national defense, and our Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. Austin's political experience in the State House and his background in risk management has given him a unique perspective in Washington. He utilizes that understanding to author and promote legislation which will open access to capital for American businesses, as well as eliminate burdensome regulations, and we all understand that as farmers, on the entrepreneurs and investors, and also provide economic opportunities for generations to come. Congressman Scott, during the 113th Congress, was selected to serve as chairman of the Agriculture Committee's subcommittee on horticulture, research, biotechnology, and foreign agriculture. He additionally serves on House Armed Services Committee, subcommittees on investigation and oversight, and military personnel and readiness. He resides here in Tifton with his wonderful wife Vivian and their son Wells. Austin is no stranger to Tifton, Tift County, to agriculture, and certainly not to the cotton industry. Many of you know he's serving as a conferee on the current Farm Bill. We appreciate his time. While it's termed a, quote, recess, they may be out of Washington, but it's certainly no recess here in the district while the congressman is traveling in his district, having these types of meetings and working to carry on the business of this district. Congressman, we appreciate the service that you've given to us and also to your family. We know it's a sacrifice for both of you to be in Washington, so please welcome to the stage Congressman Austin Scott.
How are you this morning? We got that thing. I know I'm standing between you and lunch, and I want to talk with you just a little bit. And I, kind of wondered what I'd say last night when I got the call to fill in for the guy who got snowed in at the Global Warming Summit. But I thought I'd talk to you just kind of straight from the heart about being from the farm and what I learned from the farm, and maybe the difference in what I see and the challenges I think we face coming out of Washington, D.C. And I want you to keep this in mind, and I don't think I'll offend anybody in this room, but, in Washington, D.C., if you get caught with cocaine, they'll write you a ticket and they'll send you on your way. But if you get caught with a spent rifle cartridge, it's a .22 casing, they'll take you to jail and they'll leave you there. They regulate that little piece of brass the same way they regulate landmines, rockets, and other things in Washington. And we seem to have this struggle right now between whether or not we want more Washington or less Washington in our lives. And I'm going to tell you, we need a lot less Washington in our lives, and we need a lot less Washington on our farms. There's some simple things we need out of Washington, D.C. Simple things we need out of Washington, D.C. We need a farm bill. We need a farm bill that does a couple of things. It needs to have an insurance product in there that helps good farmers get through bad years. It needs to help good farmers get through bad years. We then have to work on trade agreements so that our farmers in this country have more markets to export their products to. Those are the best things that we can do from you, aside from helping you keep the government off your farm. And when you look at this farm bill, it's been hung up over a couple of things. One of the things it's been hung up over is the definition of a farmer. You see, when my granddad was 70 years old, it was his land, it was his tractors, it was his irrigation, it was his cows, it was his checking account. that bought the feed, the seed, the fertilizer, and paid all the bills. Well, we got some in Washington that, according to them, they didn't think he was a farmer at the age of 70 because he didn't actually put the fence back up or ride and spend enough time on the tractor. Now, when people who are making the rules don't understand any more about agriculture than that, then we got a problem. We got a real problem. And then you go to the other side of the equation, and we've got people who don't want to make cuts to any of the nutritional programs. We put in a couple of provisions in the bill. First of all, we wanted to give the states the right to drug test, random drug tests and other things. But the primary provision we had was a work requirement in the bill for anybody under the age of 50. So if you were an able-bodied person under the age of 50 and you had no minor children in the house, you were either going to have to be working or you were going to have to be looking for work or training to get a job in order to receive nutritional assistance or food stamps. There's been a huge fight over that. It amounts to, if we had gotten that provision cut, I want you to think about this. All we're asking is that if you can work, you try to work. And that provision was going to save somewhere in the $25 billion range in the bill. Now, on a percentage basis, it's not a big cut. But what it's doing in America, what we've done in America, we've created a scenario under which the man and the woman who gets up and goes to work on the assembly line doesn't have any more at the end of the month to live off of than the people who could work but won't work. We protected everybody who was disabled. We protected everybody who had minors in their homes. And we can get we can get some of the cuts. And I'm going to tell you, we've held out for that this year. And I'm thankful that farmers have had a good year so that we've been able to hold out. Because right now, the farmer's down to commodities is down to about 15% of the total farm bill spending. 15%. It's going to get to the point that there's not going to be anything left. And while we have been in good times, there are bad times that are going to come. It's going to happen. It's going to happen with drought. It's going to happen with floods. It's going to happen with market conditions. It just happens. And we're writing a farm bill for you to make sure that good farmers get through the bad years and back into the good ones. And that's what we're going to focus on the production side, and on the other side of the bill, which makes up about 75% of the bill. We're going to make sure that the people who actually need it are protected and have it. And we're going to make sure that there's some checks and balances so that we take the abuses out of the system, because every dollar we give to somebody who's cheating the system is a dollar that can't go to either pay down the debt or the deficit, or to fix something else. Now, I know I'm standing behind you in lunch. I want to talk with you a little bit about this thing with ethics and getting back to just some sense of reality in this country. You know, Congress has got somewhere in the range of a 10% approval rating, depending on whether or not people did or didn't watch the news that day, I guess. But I was thinking about this last night after I got the call. One of my favorite things to do is to turkey hunt with my kid. And he and I on opening day were turkey hunting. And then we had a bird gobbling, and if you're not a turkey hunter, just bear with me on this. And so my kid's all excited, and the bird's not too far away. He's still on the limb, but he won't come down. Well, someone slipped in behind us on our property and shot the bird off the limb. And my kid stands up, throws his hat down, and looks over at me and yells, "That's cheating." Well, if you've been around me long enough at the Capitol, you've probably seen me throw my hat down too and say something like that. But my kid at the age of 13 knows that's cheating. And last night on the internet, I'm reading about our governor, former Republican governor, who says he accepted a Rolex, but he didn't know there was anything wrong with that. when he took it. Now, we as the American citizens, we've got to purge those people from our elected officials. This was a Republican now. We got Democrats out there doing the same thing. I picked a Republican because I am a Republican and I don't want it to seem partisan. But the conversations I'm having with my kid today about the different things going on are conversations my grandparents and my parents never had to have with me. You know, a guy in Colorado gets told he has to bake a cake he doesn't want to bake. A man has a First Amendment right not to bake that cake. That's a conversation I'm having with my 14-year-old child. We had an elected official at the highest level come out the other day and basically say there's no difference in marijuana and alcohol. Well, that's another conversation I got to have with my 14-year-old kid. And you know, we got a beautiful country. And I think the majority of Americans understand the difference in right and wrong. And I think that the people from the farm and who grew up on the farm, whether they be Democrat or Republican, understand the differences in right and wrong. And I want to ask you to help participate, be active in that political process. I want you to pay attention to what's going on in these elections. I watched a great friend of mine announce he's going to run for the Senate. And a whole bunch of groups, as soon as he announced it, said they were going to line up against him and try to take him out. One of the reasons they want to take him out is because he voted for the Farm Bill. And so I want to ask you to stay active in your organizations. I promise you, you need them. I mean, these people do a good job representing you up there. You got to have a voice. You got to be active. God gave us a beautiful country. I love this country. Consider myself blessed to live in it. And we're going to continue to work on behalf of the American citizens, the farmers. We're going to continue to work to make sure that the trade agreements are there so that we can expand the opportunities not only for farmers but for others, and so that we can get manufacturing coming back into this country. Wouldn't it be nice to grow the cotton here and make the shirt here too? So I know we got lunch coming. Thanks for the privilege to speak to you today. Thanks for the privilege to represent you in Washington, D.C. There are a lot of good people up there. You don't read about us in the news much. We kind of shy away from the cameras. But thanks again. God bless you, and God bless the United States.